Hello, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. If you were living in the Northeast, it's a very chilly morning. It's the first morning that actually officially felt like fall. When I woke up to go to yoga this morning, it was pitch black. um, and for those of you who are watching this as we are doing the group coaching, this morning is the morning right after we just heard about the Vegas shooting at the country music festival that they were having there. And I just want to be really upfront and honest and talk about how do we talk about these crazy, wild, exciting, beautiful gifts that we have of manifesting when we have these real life tragedies that are happening to us. I mean, over the last couple months, we've had these devastating hurricanes. We've had these shootings over the last year and a half. I can't quite remember when the Pulse one was. And it's how do we start to realize that how do we really own our safety and own our belief system and own our faith when there are these real things that are freaking us out. So I was sharing a little bit before, if you guys follow me on Instagram, I was at this concert in New York City a couple weeks ago that had like 60,000 people, and they were like, it was so amazing and so joyful. And when I was going in there, I was more excited about anything. But then as we were all sort of packing into Central Park, all 60,000 of us, I was thinking that like, oh my God, like, is this going to be safe? And there were all these policemen with these big, ginormous rifle things, and it looked like we were going to go to war in Central Park. And, they were checking our bags and like all this stuff. And like, I don't have anything to hide. Like all I had was like banana bread. And like, like the lady was so funny. She's like, what is this? I was like, oh, it's banana bread. And like, I don't have anything to hide. And, how do we really, own and understand that we are one with God when like all of this stuff keeps happening around us that is scary, that freaks us out, that makes us like want to stay home and pull the covers over our heads and stay in sweatpants all day. And this is actually, as I'm coming around to it, this is really the perfect, everything works out perfectly, I guess, although I of course wish this didn't happen, but this is really a perfect lead-in to what we're talking about today, which is blocks to manifestation. We talked last week about, or last session, what we talked a lot about was the law of attraction and how does that work, and if we think good positive thoughts, good positive things happen to us, and that's the basic premise of manifesting and co-creation. When we use the law of attraction, when we consciously use it to create an outcome that we desire. Right. And so what happens is so often we get blocked, and how do we get blocked? How do we experience blocks, and how do we work through these blocks so that we can live this really beautiful life? And does that mean that like the people, this is where my head goes, and so I'm just going to say it out loud, does that mean the people who were shot last night in Vegas, they weren't thinking good positive thoughts? Right? Does anybody else like think this way? Like, and so that's why they were victims in this horrendous tragedy, and, I think that what happens is that this world, this universe, and the fabric of love and humanity, we can narrow it down to these positive thoughts, but I think that the global scope of how and why all of these wild, crazy hurricanes and tragedies are happening is so much bigger than that. Because I think that, as I was doing my research today, and it's the most interesting thing, right? So let's talk about the law of attraction, just like sidebar for one moment. And I was going to talk to you guys about why we get blocked, right? and talked about why we get blocked. And like, let me tell you, like, I worked on what we were talking about today for hours because I was so freaking blocked, because all I was thinking about was how am I going to talk about blocks? And I was so blocked because I was thinking about blocks, and so I thus became blocked. So that's one way that we can see law of attraction works. But the global scope of how everything is happening and how everything is unfolding in this universe, I think, is so much bigger. And what the yogis believe is that we have these ages and these periods of time that last about 2,000 years. Right? So the last 2,000 years, okay, up until like the year 2000, right, which was only about, which was only 17 years ago, almost 18 years ago, right, was what they call the Piscean age, right? And the Piscean age was all about the ego, all about the me, all about the it is only about me, 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 me. And we can see the remnants of that in the early, 2000s, right? But as we're starting to go through it, even only almost 18 years into after the year 2000, it's the Aquarian age, okay? And so what we can start to see, and I might be mixing up the years, but I will fix that. But as we can start to see is that in the Aquarian age, it is much more about the we. It is much more about the consciousness. It is much more about how do we get connected to the universe? How do we start to realize that we are all one? And I think what part of the lessons that we're trying to be shown in this universe that we are currently living in right now is that we are trying to the universe is trying to wake us up to realize that we are all one. And in that way, it is so much greater. These tragedies are happening at such a crazy rate because it is trying to wake us up, wake us up, wake us up, wake us up, wake us up. Like, what are you going to do today to make sure that you stay in alignment? How are you going to share your gifts? How are you going to show up with love? What are you going to do to make the world a better place? And as we start to own that, that's how we transition from the Piscean age to the Aquarian age. And that is essentially how we relieve our blocks to manifesting, is that we don't get caught up in the me. We don't get caught up in the how am I going to stay safe? The only way that you can truly stay safe is being true to how you are meant to be in this fabric of love and humanity in this world. The only way you can truly stay safe is remembering that, like our mantra that we are saying every single day, God and we are one. I know this by the grace of the true guru. God and me are one. God and me are one. We say this over and over and over again. If God is like a 3-letter word you don't want to talk about, that's totally fine. It doesn't matter. Substitute the word universe, substitute the word angel, substitute the word love. It is all the same thing. I want to make sure you guys can hear me perfectly. It is all the same thing. So it's, how do we truly know and understand? How do we release these blocks to love? How do we release these blocks to God? How do we release these blocks to the universe? First, I think we have to also understand that it's natural for us to be blocked, right? It's natural. We are in this transition from this Piscean age to the Aquarian age. We're in this transition, and we are the, how do I say this? We, living in this time, we are the change makers. Like, if you're living in this time, if you're living in this era, if you are coming to a group like this with some crazy lady with a turban on and wearing all white, like, you are a change maker. Like, get over yourself. Like, I don't know what you thought you were doing here. I don't care what you thought you were doing before. Like, you are a change maker. You are a light worker. You you are here to be in the service of love, to be in the service of community, to be in the service of humanity, and to be in the service of the universe. Like, this is no longer about you. This is about what it is going to take for you to step up and step into your alignment with God, the universe, and with love. And as we are doing this chanting, as we are saying, I am one with God, we are one with God, I know this by the grace of the true Guru, right? What is the Guru? The Guru is a teacher who helps us bring the darkness, helps us bring darkness to light, right? And that teacher is typically a thing that is outside of us, okay? That Guru, the teacher, is something that's outside of us. Now, it can be a literal teacher, like, you know, I know a lot of people in this group love Gabby Bernstein, but it could be a literal teacher, or it could be a teacher, like a circumstance, like that we've been having with these hurricanes and these acts of violence, right? And what happened in, oh God, I'm like losing my brain, a couple months ago, Charlottesville, right? Right? That can be a teacher, right? Teachers are not, teachers help us bring darkness to light. It doesn't mean that we always have to like them. In fact, a lot of people who went to go teach and to go study with Yogi Bhajan, a lot of people left, right? They didn't like his approach to teaching. They left because he would get in there and get in your face until you were willing to let go of the darkness and step into the light. Okay. So, and I think that that is completely a metaphor for what is going on in the world today. Is how do we start using these teachers? How do we start using these circumstances as teachers? You know, as I was trying, like I said, I was totally blocked yesterday as I was, you know, I had all these plans of like what I was going to talk about and all of this stuff. And then like I scrapped all of it. I have all of these notes. I like know some of what's on there. I couldn't because I was blocked, because I was focused on blocks. I was focused on blocks, and so I got blocked. Okay? So if we're focused, so this is a great lesson, right? If we are focused on the stuff that keeps us blocked, we will be blocked. The blocks, and so when I wasn't blocked this morning, when I was sort of, you know, what happens is we go to sleep, right? Our momentum stops. We wake up, it's a new day. Sometimes it's why it's good to take a nap, right? Sometimes if I'm cranky, I say I need a nap. Sometimes it's a little nap where I fall asleep. Sometimes it's just a resting period because I need the momentum of my brain to stop so I can choose again. Okay. So when I was unblocked this morning, so that's one way to work here, to move through a block, right? To take sometimes I call them adult timeouts, sometimes a nap. Okay. What I realized this morning today when I was feeling unblocked was that the only true block that there is that we don't remember or we don't acknowledge that everything in our path is a call for us to remember our oneness with God. Everything in our path is a call for us to remember our oneness with God, our oneness with the universe, and our oneness with love. Every experience, every single circumstance is trying to wake us up to that reality. Sure, when things are going absolutely swimmingly well and the universe, you know, you feel like you have this like funnel of cash that's just like raining down on you, like you're like, it's like making it rain money on top of your head when you're in the most loving relationship and you never fight at all. And you know, have the children, the babies, the vacations, the house, you know, I don't know, what other people like to manifest? Relationships, money, those are like the big ones. the cars, that, when you have all of that stuff, yeah, like it's easy to see like, oh, the universe is working out for me. Like, oh, I'm just in the process of, being unblocked, like this, and it's true. Like it's easy when it's like that. When it's not easy it's when we have these experiences, like these tragedies and these hurricanes, and sometimes they affect us directly and sometimes they affect us indirectly. But it doesn't matter, because what it's still trying to do is to wake us up to the reality that we are one with God, and that when we start taking that reality seriously is when we can start implementing serious change, and we can start really owning the fact that we are like that. Being a light worker is not just like, oh my God, like I'm just gonna send them like love and light, like that's like so cool, right? It's like, yeah, like that's some of it, but it's really about going out there. And this is one of the reasons that I love Marianne Williamson. When she said this the first time I heard it, I was like, whoa. But we have to be as passionate and as committed to love as people who are committed to hate. Right? We have to be as passionate about being a light worker, right? And fighting for those rights and fighting for what we believe in and standing up. We have to be as passionate and as committed and showing up in that way every single day with love and with compassion as people who are committed to real hate and violence. And that's not easy, right? That is not easy. To say that, I would put myself at risk in a potentially dangerous situation knowingly, I don't, that's hard. That's really hard. And the reality is that if I felt that much in fear, I would not be doing the world service anyway, right? But there are people who do that every single day. And the reality is that we have, especially with the internet and the way that the world is that we have the ability to show up with that love and to show up with that compassion in a variety of different ways that feels good and is unique to us. Right? So a way that I am doing it today is by showing up in this way today, and just by talking straight to you guys, right? About what the blocks are and how do we get through it. What it all comes back to is that no matter if your blocks are, maybe you've had a past hurt and pain that, your parents didn't love you or treat you the way that you are one with, that you are a little piece of the universe and a little piece of God. Maybe, you were bullied. Maybe you grew up in a really, crap neighborhood and you saw things that you shouldn't have seen. Maybe, God forbid, there's been, some sort of trauma in your life, right? Like these are real. You've been a part of a natural disaster. Like these are real deal things. And I am by no means like belittling them, because they are important and it is crucial to you that you heal them. But the way that you heal them is really, you have to start acknowledging that you are one with God, that you are one with the universe, because any experience of pain that you have that is associated with those things that I just mentioned as examples, right, that can be blocks to our experience of manifestation, right? Any pain that you feel is a result of forgetting who you are. When we forget who we are, we forget that we are one with God, we forget that we are one with the universe, forget that we are one with love, right? It is easy to get trapped in the pain of what we've experienced. And there is nobody on this planet where it's okay to have experienced some sort of physical, sexual, or emotional trauma. And I'm not going to get too into that. But like, it's not okay. But how do you use that trauma to remind you of who you are? How do you use that trauma to be a teacher for others? You have to heal and you have to remember who you are. That's how you work through the trauma. That's how you work through the block. That's how you work through the anger, right? And there are many other ways that we can talk about, but the foundational concept of how we work through these blocks that we have experienced in our life is remembering the strength and the power of who we truly are. What are you guys thinking about all this? I'm like, tell me a little bit in the chat box. I need a drink of water. Such good stuff. Okay, good. Makes a lot of sense. Beautiful. Okay. All right, cool. So, and as we start to really own and understand who we are, and we remember who we are, right? I don't know if anybody has ever read The Little Soul in the Sun. It's actually a children's book about understanding God and why we're here and how we're here. It's like the most beautiful book. Maybe one day I'll read it because it's that good to you guys. Is that the guy who wrote it? His name, he's the guy that wrote Neil Donald Walsh or whatever his name. He's the guy that wrote Conversations with God, and it's explaining how we all get here, basically, in a children's story. So there's a little soul in the sun, and then the little soul in the earth when he's in heaven, ready to come back as a human, and then he's on the earth. So anyway, it's a really beautiful book. And what's my point? My point is when what happens is when we come to earth and we come to live on this plane again, is that we forget, right? We want to have this really beautiful human experience, and then we get born and we forget, why we came, and our whole journey here, as we're here, is about how do we connect with remembering. How do we connect with remembering who we are? How do we reconnect with our magnificence? I see the little cat tail. How do we connect with the beauty of this experience? And as we're starting to remember, how do we realize that this part of remembering is part of the co-creative process of making this realization a living experience, right? It's about not only realizing that we are one with God, but how are we living in that way each and every day? How are we taking care of ourselves? How are we staying in alignment with this truth? What are the ways that we detour back into forgetting? What are our triggers for that? I'm going to be giving you guys a homework on this. So, but if you're taking notes, just write these questions, just so that you remember, like, how do we detour into that? You know, what are the memories that come up for us that reinforce these beliefs that we are not one with God? You know, I have this silly memory that comes up all the time that, like, if I'll just share it with you guys so that you guys don't feel so alone. When I had to be like 6 or 7 years old, and I love to eat. And pretty much every Sunday, my mom would make scrambled eggs, and we have toast and like bacon and blah, 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 blah. And I grew a lot really quickly. If you know how tall I am, I'm about 5'6". I was this tall when I was like 11. So when I was younger, I just like was like that random tall girl in the class. So I grew a lot. So I was eating a lot too. And so I remember we were sitting at breakfast with my parents. And I remember still being hungry, and my mom had put like some eggs on my plate, and I remember like I was like, oh my god, I had a fear that it was not going to be enough. And even though like I'd always had enough to eat, like it wasn't like that had ever happened to me before, but I was hungry. And so I remember like sort of like scooching over and looking and to like make sure there was still going to be more after my mom had given some to her and my dad. And she could sense my fear. And so, and she sensed what my worry was. And she got so mad at me because I was scared that she was offended that I was scared that she wasn't going to feed me enough. Okay. So she just like from my perspective of being 6 or 7 years old, she let me have it. And then I didn't want to eat it all anymore. And then I remember saying like, how could you possibly think that like I wouldn't feed you if you were still hungry? Like blah, 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 blah. And went like totally off and bananas on me. Okay. And so, she remembered this story? No. But like, why is it that this one story keeps coming up in my mind? Because the first time I ever feared that I would not have enough. And then instead of there being that support around it, my mom didn't know at the time what she was doing, but instead of there being the support around it, my fear, I had fear about fearing the fear. And so I felt like I couldn't ask for what I needed. Right. And so that's one of the first memories that I have, that when I think about really asking for what I want or asking for what I need, right? When it comes to where does that fear come from of me holding that is this crazy story when I was 6 or 7 years old about not worrying about not having enough eggs to eat for breakfast, right? Which was never even an issue before. And so what my point is in sharing the story with you is that we all have these imprints, and some of them may seem like somewhat ridiculous, like the story I just told you about me, right? It wasn't like I never had it. It wasn't like I ever never had enough to eat before, right? It wasn't like it was some like big crazy deal. It wasn't like my parents got divorced and like we started screaming at each other. There was nothing like that. Right? It was this one moment in time where I learned that I shouldn't ask for what I want. Because if I do, I'm going to get yelled at. Right? If I have a concern about not getting what I want, I shouldn't ask for it. And how does that transcend into who I am today? Right? That started as a little mini belief system that transcended through, that made it very difficult for me to start to learn how to ask for what I want. So, but as I know, and as you all know with the universe, right? I am one with God, just like you, right? We are one with God. We are one with the universe. The universe has infinite potential for us. And everything we want and everything that we want is possible for us, right? So what happens is that as we are starting to work through these, as we are starting to chant this mantra daily, which you guys have been doing for the last 22 days, today's day 23, as you guys have started to chant this daily, oftentimes these crazy memories can start to come up and to be ready to be healed, and to be ready to be, and are ready to be healed, and are ready to be transformed. Right? So oftentimes people are talking about in the group, they've been saying how they've been having some like crazy dreams and things like that. And, I just want to reiterate one, that that's totally okay and normal. Right? Because, and you can have these sort of crazy memories come up too. And sometimes they're conscious, right? Like the one I just shared. And sometimes they can be a little subconscious, and we can just be like feeling kind of off and weird, and we don't really know why. But, when we meditate, we start to work through it, and we start to feel better. Right? And that's why too, at the end of the meditation, like, I wish I could leave more time, but I want to be mindful of how everybody is participating and the time that we are able to spend together every single day. That's why at the end, I allow us just to sit in the presence of that silence, of that stillness, of that energy that we are creating, that we have created, because it is that energy that we connect with, that oneness, right? That healing, that we are one with God, that we are God, right? It is connecting with that energy that helps us to heal and transcend those memories, those moments in time that have blocked us from our truth. And so it is a mantra, it is a meditation that allows us to really sit in the energy of how we are meant to be, right? And in doing that, what often can come up are the blocks themselves, are the memories themselves for healing. Is this making sense? And it's totally normal. So like I just said, my egg story, I'll have to ask my mom if she remembers that. But but it's totally like my egg story. I'm sure a lot of people have other stories, right? Or you might not have the story exactly of when this moment came, but you might have the limitation itself. Let's see. I'm just gonna look at my notes here. So it's really understanding. So as I said before, that our only true block is the fact that we don't remember that we are God, and we don't know, we don't realize, we don't see these perceived blocks that we have are truly the opportunities for us to remember, right? It's the blocks are the opportunities for us to remember, right? It's with that, it's also understanding that there is this movement, this movement of source energy, of spirit energy, of angel energy that has guided you here, that has guided you to this moment, right? You wouldn't be in this moment if you were not ready to heal it. You wouldn't be in this moment if you were not ready to change it, right? You wouldn't be here. And so it's remembering that you have the strength and you have the power to heal what is coming up for you. Let's see, these are all. Just looking. Unlocked. Okay. So, but what happens is oftentimes with these blocks that we are experiencing, right? Oftentimes what happens is instead of dealing with them, instead of meditating, right? Now you guys know that meditation helps, but right, what has happened in the past, right? Before you knew that meditation helped you work through the blocks, right? What has happened? In what ways have you numbed yourself? In what ways have you run away from yourself? In what ways have you totally avoided it? Like, tell me in the chat box. In what ways have you done it? Right? When we don't deal with the block, it's like the block is always right freaking there. And when we don't deal with it, what do you do? We have some sort of negative, self-destructive behavior, thought patterns, right? Addiction. And I'm not just talking about like drug addiction, although that's totally possible. Eat lots of food. Yes, totally. Eat lots of food, right? What else? Or some people may eat lots of food, some people may eat no food, right? Some people may have a glass or 2 or 4 of wine, and some people may, I'm just thinking, may totally numb themselves in front of the TV. Okay, so blocks that I've had come up with and create uncomfortable feelings. I've created more blocks to not feel. And in the end, I have just barricaded myself from the light with a ton of blocks. Yes. right? I know with a lot of my clients that I work with, right? Because, listen, as teachers, we all work with clients who represent some sort of reflection of our own stuff, right? So with a lot of my clients, something that they have struggled with feeling in particular is anger, right? Because anger some people love to feel angry. I've met people like that too. And that can be a way that you avoid the blocks is, right? How many times have you avoided an actual issue with like your partner or your friend, and like you start like or like your parent or your family, and you just start picking on them about something else, like totally out of the blue, right? That like doesn't even make any sense. But what you're really upset about is like something that happened like long before that, or like is a pattern in your relationship. But you don't want to talk about the pattern. You want to talk about how the fact that like they didn't do blah, 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 right? So, anger, right? How we avoid these feelings that we don't want to feel, right? And what's anger all about? Anger is all about fear, right? Either feeling angry or not feeling angry. It's all about fear, right? Anger is depression oftentimes turned outward, and depression is oftentimes anger turned inward, right? And so sometimes the anger can help move us through to the next thing, right? And sometimes, and that's the whole thing, is that sometimes the thing is that our emotions are just energy in motion. That's it. Emotions are simply energy in motion. And so if we can know and understand that that's all that it is, then at any given moment we can start to shift it, right? It's like, oh, do I want to go down this momentum, right? This is where my energy is going. Do I want to go down this momentum, or is there something I can do to shift it, right? How do we shift it? We meditate. You have this meditation. If you go on my YouTube, you can find other meditations that can help you shift your energy into something different. And I'm going to keep adding more, so you can just keep looking there. So emotions are simply just energy in motion. But we may, if we don't realize that, right, we can numb ourselves because we don't want to feel. And as we don't want to feel, the blocks, even though the blocks stay relatively the same size, it feels bigger and bigger and bigger because we're avoiding it more and more and more. And we do this in a variety of different ways. We all have our unique methods in which we do it. Some people use drugs and alcohol. Some people overeat or undereat. Some people over-exercise or, binge watch Netflix for 5 days. Some people, have really negative self-talk. Some people are over-sexualize themselves. Like there runs the gamut of anything and everything that you can shop, right? And so, but it's really important to recognize that emotions are simply energy in motion. And if we can, use the energy, if we can become aware of it and we can pinpoint where it's coming from, we have the ability in that moment to heal it. Right? And that is why, particularly with this meditation, now it's a very, very powerful meditation. If you're really feeling absolutely crappy, like you feel like poop, like I'm not going to totally recommend you do this meditation in particular. There's a lot of other meditation. There's several other meditations I actually have on YouTube that you can do before you get there to get out of that poopy feeling. Okay. And then you can do this because, like we've said before at the first, group coaching session, it's very powerful meditation, and so it'll manifest exactly where you are. So that's why we say the Mangalacharya mantra, particularly with this meditation, is to help protect us from any backlash, right? So what was I going to say? So if you're feeling poopy, do one of those meditations first, then come back to this meditation and remember and reconnect with your alignment with God and Source. See, Kate says awareness leads to acceptance, which leads to change. Yes, girl. DBT. And remember, acceptance does not mean that you agree with the situation, right? You don't have to, if we don't accept it, right? We just keep coming up this block. Like if we keep saying, this isn't fair, 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 this isn't, does that help you get through anything? No, absolutely not. It's a big freaking block. Does saying this isn't fair remind you or reconnect you with your oneness as God? No, absolutely not. Right? Because whatever it is that isn't fair is helping you, is trying to remind you, hello, you've been going down this road, which led you to this moment and this circumstance that isn't fair, so that you can turn around, go the other way, and remember that you are God. Like, that's it. That's it. It's like, it's not that hard. I know it doesn't seem that hard. You know, I don't know if it does. When as I'm saying, I'm like, that doesn't seem so hard. But like in moments, like we're humans, like it can be hard. But I think realizing that that's also a story, right? That like it's hard to change is hard, right? We have patterns. Like, yes, like all this stuff is true. And like, I'm not expecting you to go out and like, you know, be the next Buddha tomorrow. Like, I don't think anybody is. But at the same time, I don't think that we have to put all this pressure on ourselves that like, it's so hard to change, right? If we have this story that's so hard to change, what's going to happen? It's going to be so freaking hard to change, right? Change happens really slowly, right? I mean, how many times have we heard that? No, I believe in quantum shifts. I believe that all of a sudden magic can happen. And that is why this is called the magic meditation, because it is helping you to align with the magic of the universe and remind you that you are one with God. And as you are that, true magic can happen for you effortlessly. Effortlessly. Let's see, what else we got here? Let's see. So I have here anything that is so I have here, and I just said, you know, it can be an achy process. Yes, it can be an achy process, and it doesn't always have to be at the same time, right? The thing is can you experience and appreciate the journey along the way, right? I just shared the story how I was like, I grew like really fast, like as a kid, right? And like literally, like I remember, do you guys remember having growth spurts? Like I remember what that felt like because I was having them all the time, especially when I was little. So I remember like having these growth spurts, and I remember like my knees like aching like so bad, especially my legs. Like I remember that happening a lot. And so like, but it wasn't anything like, it wasn't like I, you know, needed tons of Advil or anything. Like it wasn't like it was abnormal. It was something that was totally normal. And like the next day or over the next week, you feel better. So as you're doing this emotional growth and this emotional transformation, realize like the aches and the pains and the realizations and the healings that you're experiencing and the emotions that you're experiencing are normal. Right? It's, can I experience the achiness as normal and not allow for it to drag me back down to where it came from? Right? Can I re-experience this memory that I had that kept me stuck, but not allow it to make me stuck now? Can I have this experience of like understanding my limiting belief and having the awareness of it and allowing myself to rewrite the story, right? I no longer believe that change has to be hard. I no longer believe that change has to take time. I believe in quantum shifts, right? In my personal opinion, quantum shifts typically, not always, typically happen as you've been starting a little bit and a little bit and a little bit on this journey, as you've been taking the steps towards it, right? And all of a sudden it's like, boom, right? And it feels like the shift. It feels like, oh my God, I just had a quantum shift. And you did. There's no doubt that you did. But at the same time, it's usually there, when you look back, you can see the evolution of how you got there. Does that make sense? Two more things, and I want to read something to you, I think. We have to trust in our own divine timing. And so as we are working through our blocks, as we are chanting this mantra, as we are becoming more and more in alignment with our truth, we can sometimes see people in their own spiritual journeys and evolutions, like all of a sudden awakening, and all of a sudden, for some reason, cash money is flowing to them, or, oh my God, like they just manifested their soulmate. Like, why didn't I get that? Like, that's not there, right? We can like totally go on this whole path, right? And so it's remembering that the universe is timed perfectly for you and for your own awakening. The more you stay true and the more you stay consistent to your path and who you truly are, your most authentic self and being, as you make your spiritual condition and your energy the priority in your life, you can trust and have faith that the universe will bring to you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. Whether it is a teacher, whether it is money, whether it is love, whether it is healing, right? Whether it is the time for you to work through a limiting belief, you can trust and know that you will know the answer. You will be whatever it is that you are looking for will be bestowed upon you. You do not have to worry about that. All that you have to worry about is your spiritual condition and is in your internal believing and knowing and connection that you are one with God, like, period. If you get that, there will be no blocks. The blocks that you will experience, you won't experience as blocks. You'll experience them as opportunities to get closer to that connection, to get closer to that realization, to get closer to that embodiment of the mantra. That's why when people, it's not everybody, but oftentimes people will when they wear like mala beads or beaded, bracelets or things like that, like with the crystals and things like that. Oftentimes what they will do is they will say a prayer, they will say a mantra as they put every single bead on that, string, right? They will say prayers, they will say mantras. And so that this piece, this jewelry, piece of jewelry is a reminder, right? It is a physical reminder of the mantra that you wish to experience, of what it is that you want to embody, right? In many yogic traditions, you also can get like a spiritual name. And that name is given, there's different spiritual traditions have different names. And your name is given to you as a reminder, as for you to remember the essence of who you are. So that's really cool. Last but not least, the one thing I want to do before I have to read you this thing because it was too beautiful not to, is a Course in Miracles quote, which is that miracles. So what A Course in Miracles says is that a miracle is a shift in perception from fear to love. And what A Course in Miracles says is miracles are natural, and when they do not occur, something has gone wrong. So we have this ability to live in a truly miraculous universe that we are co-creating with this gorgeous force of God and of love. And if we allow ourselves to realize and to recognize the universe and God within us, then we truly can overcome any and every block. And we can truly manifest all that we desire, right? This mantra that we're saying, we are one with God, and I know this by the true grace of the Guru, right? God and we are one. I know this by the grace of the true Guru, right? It doesn't say anything about manifesting, right? It doesn't say like, this is how you get what you want, right? What it says is God and we are one. I know this by the grace of the true Guru, because as you own and you understand and you embody that phrase and that belief system, anything and everything is possible for you. That's my group coaching for the day. But before we move on to our meditation. Hello, Ashley. Before we move on to the meditation, I wanted to share with you guys a story, and it's so amazing. So Josh and I, we have like a one-car driveway, and yesterday I had to take his car, and I went to the grocery store, and he had a bunch of books in the back of his trunk, and I was like, oh, I want that book. I don't know why, but I need that book. And this book is called Melanie Beattie, and it's called Journey to the Heart. And what it is there's a meditation for every single day. It says daily meditations on the path to freeing your soul. And I took it out. I actually took it out because I wanted to see, my birthday was a couple days ago, and I wanted to see what my birthday meditation was, right? So that's actually was the original reason why I took it out. And then I was like, I wonder what it says for my group for tomorrow. And then I read it, and I was like, come on, universe, it's so good. Like the one for my birthday, like really didn't feel like it resonated with me all that much, to be perfectly honest with you. But when I read Hours Per Day, I was like, oh, well, this is why I got out of the trunk of the car. So I'm going to read this to you, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, especially given what we're talking about today. So it says October 2nd, trust the unknown. Look, see how much you've changed. See the difference in your perspective. Remember all those years you were so fearful, trying to peek ahead, trying to see what the future held. Remember how upset you got, how uncertain and abandoned you felt because you didn't know the plan. Now life has taken you to a new place for you, but a place that is ancient. All along, you were not supposed to be getting the answers about what the future held. You were supposed to be learning the magical way of trust and inner guidance, learning to feel your way through, trusting and committing to your vision, your energy, your purpose, your place, each day and moment along the way. You were supposed to be learning to allow the universe to magically unfold and trust that it would. You have been learning this lesson. You have been learning it well. See how you delight in life's magic, the surprises, the not knowing, the absolute trust in the universe to bring you your answers, manifest your visions, and help you when you can't quite see. See how much you cherish your relationship to the universe, a relationship so much broader and more encompassing, so much more vital than you ever could imagine before. See how joyfully you walk your path, enjoying all the sights, opening your heart to loved ones and strangers. See how benevolent it is when you are not able to see ahead. Not knowing has taught you about life's magic. It has connected you to yourself and to the universe. It has connected you to God. Not knowing has taught you to know more than you ever could have imagined. I mean, mind blown, right? Mind blown. Yep. I don't know what's left to say about that, but when I read that and I was like, the universe, like, come on. And this is how the magic, it's like going to make me cry. It's so powerful. This is how the magic of the universe works, right? For me to take Josh's car, to open up the trunk, to pull out this book, to look at my birthday and realize it didn't make any sense, and to look at it for today and say, oh my God, that makes every single bit of sense for us today in this moment for this particular group. It may not have made sense for another day. But remembering the magic it is of the journey of the not knowing to the knowing, and how we can embrace the magic as we learn to know and appreciate our journey in the not knowing before. I mean, come on. This is good stuff. This is good stuff. And this is, if we choose to, and it's a choice, to become so keenly aware of this kind of magic, right? We can be experiencing this all day long. All day long. So on that note, I love you guys. You guys are amazing. I'm so proud of you and so excited for you. And it just like blows my mind and warms my heart to be a part of your journey at this moment in time and be able to share like cool things like that. Yeah, that's it. I love you guys. I'm going to move this over here. We can get ready to do our meditation. Let me get my little Spotify ready. All right. Flip our palms together. I see Kate may have left for a second. Wait for her to come back. Let's place our hands in prayer pose. Palms are pressed firmly together. Thumbs are in our sternum. Chest is open. Spine is aligned. Neck is lightly locked. Eyes are closed and focused at the point in between our brows. Forehead and shoulders are relaxed. As we take a few nice deep inhales and exhales through our nose. Helping us to integrate everything we just talked about. Helping us to let go if anything didn't resonate. Allowing ourselves to fully be in the presence of the magnificence and the magic of the universe. Knowing that in this moment, the only important thing that is happening is taking care of your energy. Giving yourself that gift is truly the best gift you can give to the world. And as we tune in, chanting the Adi Mantra and the Mangalacharan Mantra, let's bring to mind a guru. Maybe it's a person, maybe it's a circumstance that has brought us from the darkness to the light. Having appreciation and gratitude for whatever that person or circumstance might be. And let's inhale to begin. Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Satgure Name, Sitting Gurudeve Name, Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Satgure Name, Sitting Adgure Name, Jugadgure Name, Satgure Name, Sitting Gurudeve Name. Inhale, suspend the breath, apply Mula Bandh. Remembering that the reason why we are doing this is to stimulate the Kundalini energy that sits at the base of our spine. Holding to try to feel the Shunya, the 0 point, where everything and nothing exists. And exhale. Bringing your hands down into Gyan Mudra. Feeling these subtle energetic shifts. Bringing into your mind your intention, your declaration. Saying it out loud to the universe, to God in your head. As you bring your arms, your hands up to our little cup mudra, elbows by our side, cup is lightly up, thumbs are open, eyes are closed and gazing into our little cup as we offer our intention up to the universe, as we offer ourselves up to the universe, asking, chanting, knowing, believing that we are one with God. And the more and more we understand, the more and more we internalize, the more and more we integrate this mantra into our being, we will experience that and know that it is that our desires for ourselves and for the world are possible.
एक ओंकार सतगुरु प्रसाद, सतगुरु प्रसाद। 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 एक ओंकार। एक ओंकार सतगुरु प्रसाद, सतगुरु प्रसाद। 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 एक ओंकार।
Really owning what you're saying when you're chanting.
एक ओंकार सतगुरु प्रसाद, सतगुरु प्रसाद। 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 एक ओंकार। एक ओंकार सतगुरु प्रसाद, सतगुरु प्रसाद। 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 एक ओंकार। एक ओंकार सतगुरु प्रसाद, सतगुरु प्रसाद। एक ओंकार सतगुरु प्रसाद, सतगुरु प्रसाद। एक ओंकार Ek Onkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. 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 Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. 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 Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. 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 Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. 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 Ek Onkar. Ek Onkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. 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 Ek Onkar.
Feeling the universe's magic surrounding you, holding you, supporting you, loving you, allowing you to manifest your desires.
Ek Onkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. 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 Ek Onkar. Ekonkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. Ekonkar, 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 Ekonkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. Ekonkar. Ekonkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. Ekonkar, 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 Ekonkar Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. Ekonkar.
It's our last round together. Chant like you mean it.
Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. Ekonkar, Ekonkar 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 Satguru Prasad, Satguru Prasad. Ekonkar.
Inhale, suspend the breath. Apply Mula by lifting up on your pelvic floor. Bringing your hands down into Gyan Mudra. Eyes are focused at the point in between your brows. And just noting the subtle energetic shifts. And exhale. Inhaling again through your nose, filling your belly with air, suspending the breath, applying Mulabandha by stimulating, which will stimulate the Kundalini energy at the base of your spine. Allowing it to unravel at the base of your spine, that Kundalini energy, and move upward through your chakra system, through the crown of your head, into your aura, healing, health, healing, loving, cleansing, clearing anything that is not related to your direct connection with the universe. Allowing it to move all blocks, all limitations. All belief systems that are not in alignment with that. And exhale. Inhaling again one last time, filling your belly with air, suspending the breath, applying Mulabandha by lifting up on your pelvic floor, and feeling, knowing, and owning your energy as one with God. Feeling what that feels like in your body, in your cells, in your soul, in your spirit, in your aura. You are one with God. And exhale. allowing yourself to integrate all that we have experienced. Allowing yourself to feel the energetic attunement. Allowing yourself to feel the shunya, the stillness, the 0 point. Holding this loving, beautiful, healing, gorgeous energy that we have created together as individuals and as a group, and that we are holding for the group to join us at a later time. Let's bring our hands together in prayer pose at the center of our chest, rubbing our palms together. Placing our thumbs in our sternum, palms are firmly pressed together in prayer pose. Spine is aligned, chest is open, neck is lightly locked, eyes are closed and focused at the point in between our brows, forehead and shoulders are relaxed. As we tune in and sing the long time sunshine song, singing one time for ourselves, and today one time for Vegas, the Vegas tragedy. Holding and knowing that everything is a wake up, a call for love, a call for light, and that it is your time, our time as light workers to shine.
May the long time sunshine shine upon your soul. All love surround you and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long time sunshine shine upon your soul. All love surround you and the pure light within you. Let it guide your way on. Guide your way on.
Inhale. Nam. May you always remember that you are magnificent and magical and the universe. May you always remember that you are one with God and that everyone on the planet is as well. May you always remember that it is time for you to stand into your light, to stand in your truth, and to stand in your authentic, beautiful, unique gift of who you are in the world. And by sharing that, you make the world a brighter and more loving place. Sat Nam. Sat Nam, Sat Nam. I love you guys. Thank you for lighting up my life. Truly. You guys are the bomb.com. I love you guys to the moon and back to the moon again. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll be in the Facebook group. You guys will get the meditation days and times for the week, new meditation buddies. You'll get your homework today, and I'll be posting this as soon as I can in the group. Love you. Yeah, day 23 is done. You guys are amazing.